Dudes, I hate numbers in this game, okay? Like, I love doing Excel breakdowns. I like showing what increases damage here, time to kill, DPS, all that great stuff, man. But what irritates the piss out of me is the way rounding works in Destiny, right? Like, sometimes you get a number and it's like 21. 21 flat, by the way, 21.0, and it rounds up to 22. Needless to say, yesterday, after covering high-impact pulse rifles, I was left questioning life. I had some folks come in who appear to drop some mad knowledge on me, stating that high-impact pulse rifles have a default 1.62 crit multiplier. And I gotta ask, the hell do we get that number? When numbers round as much as they do, where does that number come from? The only thing I can think of is maybe that number is being pulled from PvE, which are greater numbers, normally in the triple digits, giving us even more information with each shot when trying to narrow down the default crit multiplier of a weapon. But considering that weapons have jumped in archetypes so very much in terms of its damage, I gotta wonder what the baseline actually is. So if anyone has a breakdown, and I haven't found it yet, but a breakdown of crit multipliers in this game spanning across all of our archetypes, feel free to let me know. With that being said, let's talk about Vigilance. Yes, this pulse rifle got a stealth buff. It's actually considered a high impact pulse rifle, which is kind of strange because I thought it was a rapid fire, considering it shoots 5 rounds per burst, and it sits at a nice 530 rounds per minute. So naturally, I thought it was more of a rapid fire pulse than a high impact, but it appears Bungie has it built in its API that it's a high impact. Therefore, the buff that touched high impact pulse rifles yesterday, which actually increased the precision damage across the board, Vigilance here is also reaping those benefits. Now, if you haven't checked out this pulse rifle in a while, I gotta say, guys, it's still a phenomenal weapon inside of Crucible and very much a good weapon inside of Elimination. Comes with the intrinsic perk Harsh Truce. State of the weapon is a 5-round burst, but when a nearby ally is killed, you gain health regeneration and increased movement speed. It's very nice, especially if you got some teammates that keep throwing. Their deaths keep you alive. On top of that, it comes with the trait Last Stand, improved weapon performance, and greatly increased recovery when its wielder is the last living member of a fire team. So yes, this weapon was definitely made for trials. It also comes with a catalyst that actually allows this weapon to be fired in full auto, which kind of a pointless catalyst, I'm not gonna lie. I tap fire this thing. Maybe you lay on the trigger with it. I've got like a mental block with it. I can't do it. It's like my shots begin to go all over the place when I just sit there and hold the trigger, which is why I have to tap fire it. Almost treating it like a 150 round per minute scout rifle, right? Now, Vigilance in this sandbox went from actually hitting like 22 per crit, or like 22.5, to an actual 23.5. I know it shows 24 damage per crit. It was like 23.5. Matter of fact, when we broke it down a little further, it appears it might actually be like 23.7. And I'll get into why that is. Body shot still seems to be somewhere around 16 per body, but again, a lot of deviation there. It could be 15.5 to 15.7, depending on how you look at it. The reason why we came up with those values is when we actually started to sit down and test resilience values in the game. 5 crits from Vigilance plus 5 body shots would secure a kill on 8 resilience or less. Now, the reason why we know there's some rounding is because at 9 resilience, you have 198 health. And if this damage was actually 24 per crit and 16 per body, we would hands down be securing a kill, reaching that 200 total damage threshold. But that's not the case. So it appears one of these is obviously rounded, and I'm thinking the crit shot damage is probably the one that's like somewhere around 23.5. Regardless though, 5 crits, 5 bodies can secure you a kill, 8 resilience or less in 0.77 seconds, or somewhere around that mark. Matter of fact, when we actually did a side-by-side comparison, because I just wanted to see Vigilance Wing versus Hard Light, you actually see right here, they're pretty damn close. Hard Light being the 0.7, Vigilance being that 0.77. So 700's difference. Not a big difference. On top of that, 600 round per minute auto rifles requires the majority of your shots to be crit shots. 7 crits, 1 body for the most part, whereas Vigilance requires only a 50% crit rate. So super forgiving, guys. More forgiving than I've ever seen it before, and it can secure that 2 burst kill on most resilience levels. 8 resilience or less, hell, that's the majority of us. This may be actually one of the only times, by the way, where rocking 9 resilience or more might actually make a difference for like a lot of weapons, because there's been a lot of weapons we've been covering here lately where having almost max resilience really might keep you alive. Wow, Bungie, you're actually making resilience do something. Now, is Vigilance Wing a good option to be using in this sandbox? All right, this was actually gameplay last week before skill-based matchmaking got turned off. Vigilance was doing good. I like it. And at the time, I was super impressed with Vigilance. I was like, oh man, this is where it's at. This is my baby. I don't care about no Redrix, Premonition, Cold Denial, all these other pulse rifles. It doesn't matter. Vigilance absolutely slays. But after playing with Redrix Bronzo the other day, I think I've gone back on my opinion, and that's actually because Vigilance does run into damage fall off pretty early on. We said it yesterday that Redrix, even not completely optimized for range, can still reach up to 38 meters before experiencing damage fall off. Vigilance reaches up to 34. Now, 34 is not bad, and the weapon does have enough forgiveness in it that even at those ranges like 38 meters, hell, just land all crits and you'll get it. But that's easier said than done. This is a 5-round burst pulse rifle, and at times, that's a difficult thing to do. Even here on mouse and keyboard, I found the recoil to be a little hard to maintain, thus resulting in my shots deviating slightly. On top of that, just like most high-impact pulse rifles, Vigilance to me really requires you to sit still. It doesn't really reward you for strafing. Matter of fact, I'd argue and say that it's just better to just stay crouched while using Vigilance to maintain consistency and get the most out of it, which kind of makes you a sitting duck. Now, if there was a pulse rifle that I would say, hey, crouch, sit tight, land that crispy 2 bursts, that weapon type would be high impacts all day long. But they have a 0.67 time to kill value, which at the end of the day, I know it sounds like fractions of a second, and it is. It's still better than 0.77 and can make a difference, most notably in 1v1s while you're taking gunfire. And that's one of the things that I get annoyed a little bit about Vigilance. I feel like it handles flinch poorly at times. But despite those things, there's one selling point to Vigilance above all of them, is if you disregard aiming for the head and shoot the chest of your enemies over and over and over again. Even if the first 2 shots, or maybe even 3 shots, are body shots, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna secure a kill in 2 bursts. A lot of times I'm just wanting to click heads, man. And Vigilance says, nope, I've got a lot of spread, so you might want to make sure you aim for that chest area. You will hands down secure a kill though, every single time, as long as you just try to land all 5 of those shots. Don't try to do nothing crazy. Don't try to be looking for the big crit values, because I know it looks sexy. Just try to land your shots. That's it. Don't go for anything else, because there's even a lot of times I try to go for crits, and I think that I'm able to like pull my gun down just enough mid gunfight or mid burst to where my 4th and 5th shot should be able to land all crits easily. It's difficult, especially if somebody's strafing against you. But if you can break that mentality, if you can move away from always constantly trying to land crits and aim at that chest to neck area at all times, this weapon will 100% reward you. I would say probably its biggest enemy is auto rifles, right? 600 round per minute auto rifles are something that can whoop up on a Vigilance Wing, and considering that Vigilance only reaches up to 34 meters before running into damage fall off, there are times when a well-rolled auto rifle is the better option. I would say though, if you try to keep your gunfights 30 meters or greater, concentrate on landing chest shots, which might be enough flinch to throw your opponent off, even if they're using an auto rifle, thus securing the kill. Vigilance can still work well for you. And again, at some point, Bungie stated that they're actually going to be going in and nerfing 600 round per minute auto rifles. Not necessarily advocating for that, but it's something they're looking into. So take that how you will. Vigilance in this sandbox is set up to do well for you, as well as set up to do well in the future sandbox, whatever it may be. So guys, that is Vigilance Wing in update 2.9.0. Let me know in the comments below what you think about it. It's got a play style that's either going to agree with you or not agree with you. Very similar to how it was in year 1. I used it all of year 1, even when it didn't even have the most competitive time to kill. Thought it was one of the best weapons to bring in the trials. Its perk harsh truths clutched up a number of times, as well as that last stand trait. So guys, give it a go. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.